أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I begin, as I always begin, in the name of Allah, whose grace I seek in this and all other matters. I ask Allah's forgiveness for any errors that I might make due to the frailty of being human. Peace and blessings upon our beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who were the light of all the worlds. Well, we are coming up to the completion of the first 10 days of Ramadan. These days are designated in 3 cycles. First Ashra, or the first 10 days, is mercy and blessings. And the second is forgiveness. And the third is safety, particularly safety from the hellfire. In my book, Once in a Lifetime, I talk a little bit about the practicality of, this sort of spread of this particular devotional practice across an entire month, 30 days. And that first 10 days, I think people are, like trying to get their feet settled into the particular path of the mandates of the practices of Ramadan. The one in the middle, we're used to it. We don't have the excitement or the challenge of getting used to it. And, it just keeps going on kind of thing. And then when you get to the third one, we actually start looking for the end of Ramadan and what we're going to do to celebrate during Eid al-Fitr, or Hari Raya, as they say over here. And so even though I didn't get to you guys at the beginning of the month, just wanted to shout out, really quickly, sending my prayers. This year, I find that my greeting was mostly to pray for the blessings of peace and grace. It was difficult entering into this month knowing my beloved friend Muhsin Hendricks is already returned to Allah, and I can't call on him or contact him for support, or even just a little bit of humor. Just such a lovely, lovely person, and I have spoken about that before, so I'm not going to linger. But what I wanted to share is what's happening my first Ramadan living in this rice farming village outside of the city of Yogyakarta. A few years ago, I came to the termination of my capacity to realistically actually participate in the devotion of fasting. Now, for those of you, women who have their, monthly days off, or who take those days off, people who have other medical and physical, psychological challenges that prevent them from participating in the fast, I think you know best, what it is that I'm, talking about here, because even though, over the process, I want to say the last 9 years, I recognized my limitation in capacity during the Ramadan, that my grandson, my 5th grandchild, was born during Ramadan, and I was in the global north in California, and it was clear to me that I couldn't make it for the duration of the number of hours. So I began different practices to do modification, start early, or to end early. And I didn't like either one of those. I talked about that in my book as well. So eventually I just moved to Indonesia. So when you're on the equator, the number of hours was doable for me. So, alhamdulillah, I was able to get back into the full fast. And that lingered for a long time, but a few years ago, I entered into the place where, it was really clear that the greatest mercy to my own person, my own body, was to leave off the fasting, pay the fidya, and try to, you know, engage in other aspects of the monthly devotional practices. Well, living in the city, as much as I wanted to go, to the closest mosque, I was still really intimidated by, going out at night when I'm alone. Well, I don't have that. When you live in the kampong, when you live in the village, it's one of the things that I experienced even before my house was done and I was staying in a homestay. It's so thrilling. I mean, people who know me, I don't go out at night. Like, if there's an emergency or a necessity, it's really a challenge and I would do it. But for years and years and years, the practice has been for me not to go out at night. And that changed here. I could walk to the mosque, do the 5 daily prayers, in the dark in the morning, in the dark in the evening. I even used to make a circuit, so I would come a little longer way, to get a little exercise in as well. And we'll walk to the cemetery, and the ladies in the mosque are always just like so hysterical. Aren't you afraid? Of course, I would say tongue in cheek, well, tomorrow I will be there. And they didn't get that because, they don't have that kind of morbidity. But yeah, so, yesterday it was pouring raining when I went out at Maghrib to go to the mosque, and, you know, uh, it's just lovely. It's lovely doing it during, this part of the rain season to see, what happens when the rain comes or when the rain doesn't come, because all of it has an impact. And, walking back from the mosque in the evening, there's a certain section of the walk that I'm alone. And once again, I was reflecting on just the mercy of being able to do this, to be safe in a place with the community of people. So I do want to say a little bit about the community of people. So the closest mosque to me and the one that I'm going to is called El Hidayah. It's a two-story structure. So, usually the kids are on the second floor. You can hear them running around. They have such an interesting inspiration to keep the kids, at the mosque and, practicing this as well. I won't go into that, but another time, inshallah. But after the Maghrib prayer, which, by the way, we as a community, we are assigned certain days to provide the fast-breaking food, which will be delivered to the mosque. My day hasn't come yet, but I'm part of the community now, so I share a day with 3 other people, and between us, we have to get together 140 meals. And we divide that cost and make it available and everything. So the people who are in the mosque, the food is available to them, so they're able to break fast, right there. Since I'm not fasting, I try to get in there somewhere between the adhan and the iqama, the call for prayer and the call for standing to perform that prayer. So I don't disturb them because, I've had uh, the mercy of being able to eat all day long. So, I want to kind of give them that space. And at the same time, you want to be in line when, they do the first takbir and start the prayer. You want to be there. So I kind of like, work myself, in an interesting kind of balance to get there, pray the Maghrib prayer with the group. And then afterwards, we sit. It's interesting because there's only like 3 or 4 men that are there. I haven't seen that, but there's at least 12 to 15 women, mostly senior women like myself, but some, considerably younger, you can tell. And we recite one juz or 1/30th part of the Quran together, after we finish with the Maghrib prayer and before the Adhan for the Isha prayer. So it's great because, you know, in Indonesian Muslim culture, they are pretty adamant about teaching, from childhood, proper tilawah of Quran. So, they know what they're doing and they've got, I mean, I know what I'm doing too, and I learn all the rules of tajweed and everything, but sometimes like I'm a little lazy, like I don't hold all of the long vowels, the same number of counts that, technically when you do it, there's some precision to it. But I do know the Arabic, so, it's pretty clear what I'm saying. It's just not full tajweed. Um, so anyway, I get to read with them, and that allows me, because, on my own, I can read it too, but I do find that, the nature of human beings is just like, if I get like a little bored at a certain point or I get sleepy or something, then, like I might not be able to keep it up as well as when you have that communal situation, and, how these women do these recitations, and, they're in sync with each other and everything. So I love this opportunity to be able to do that recitation. And then when the recitation is done, they also serve either a drink and a snack or just a snack. Again, I don't take the snack. First of all, I'm trying to be mostly sugar-free. I still have to have sweet in my coffee, but I'm sort of like trying not to eat a lot of carbs and sugars and stuff like that. That's kind of my sort of nutritional adjustment. It's like, okay, so just because you can eat all day long, don't just eat anything. Be like a lot more conscientious. So that's what I've been doing. And also because I'm not fasting, I don't want to interfere with the ways that, we collectively as community prepare for the fasters. So I don't take it. If they have water, I'll drink that, but that's it. And then after that, we pray Isha prayer, and there's a khutbah. No offense, but this is my least favorite part because it's all in Bahasa, give or take a few, Arabic phrases, religious phrases. And afterwards, then we stand and we make the Tarawih prayer. Now, I hope you know that you can pray anywhere from 8 to 20 rakats, and also even how those are divided. In this mosque, I've experienced something that I've never experienced before. That is, rather than making 2 and 2 and then doing a short zikr and then making 2 and 2, etc., they do 4. And, the recitation is made out loud each time, but they don't stop and make salams in between and start again. They just make 4, stop, make a little bit of zikr, then they, stand up again and do another 4, and then they do the 3 for witr. So altogether, it takes about 2 hours. I get there a little after 6, and I leave somewhere close to 8:30 or so. But I was just thinking about how this community experience is just such a nurturing cocoon to be in. There's a momentum that's happening, and everybody's participating in it, and they're very welcoming, and inclusive. It's true that when they're chatting, they tend to be chatting in Jawi, the local language of the island of Java. And I feel like, oh, I should do better even with my regular Bahasa Indonesia, so that I can, I can get around, but I mean, I should make some improvement, and this is where I'm going to be spending the bulk of my time. And then I think to myself, ironically, I ended up in a Jawi speaking village. And it's like, oh, do I want to pretend that I can also learn another one? I don't know. The age makes that thing kind of a challenge, So it just means that I get a lot of self-reflective time, because they'll chat and everything, and they all speak Indonesian, but I don't want to inconvenience them. Like, they have to accommodate me all the time. So mostly I just kind of keep to myself, do some zikr or do some meditation or something like that in the spaces in between when we engage with devotional acts. And then I just want to say that I go to the mosque and I'm not covered at all. And I have, short sleeves, but I wear the mukina. It's funny, yesterday I realized that I love the mukina so much. Every time I get someplace where there's some options, I end up buying another one, and I have five. I live alone. Why do I need five? It's just I can't resist. It's like the batik, it's just so such a beautiful thing that I end up overdoing it. But it it allows me to be covered all the way to here with the top part, and then with the sarong, they hang it down low, they cover their feet. I don't cover my feet, that's not my personal practice, but I realized that, it's a lot easier in this village not to have to go through a thing with them or have them go through a thing with me to explain that it's not obligatory. I just cover my feet, and then I have the full outfit like everybody else. But I put that on only when I get to the mosque, and I take it off when I come out of the mosque on my way to go home. And there's no judgment. In fact, lots of the ladies that I see, they are doing it. I see them in the morning sweeping and everything. They're also not covered. Majority of them do, actually. And so I feel this community spirit, this welcomeness, without pressure for me to do some, other than covering my feet. I guess you could say there's a little bit of pressure I feel to cover my feet, which is not my norm, but it's relaxed. That's what I want to say. It's relaxed. It's just so comfortable. And I was just thinking again, what a blessing to end up in this beautiful community with such kind and generous and friendly and funny and welcoming people. And to finally, for the last 9 or 10 years, being challenged with regard to, my capacity with the fasting, eventually leading to where I am now, not fasting at all, and yet to be able to participate devotionally. And so I'm kind of sending this out as a reminder, for us to support each other during this time. And, especially when you're living in a minority situation, as we have been doing all the years of my life, fasting in minority situations, doing community iftars and bringing community together, and, daily contact with other people who, are in different situations, and, offering our zakat, and, just, be a part of the community as much as you can. For me to be here, it's just really, really easy because they're a very communal place. And it's not contrived. There's not, bitterness and backbiting and everything. They're just friendly people, just such a lovely thing. Excuse me. So I wanted to share that in order to, give my greeting to you. Thank you again, those of you who are still supporting my Patreon page, and forward to other things that we can do together in the future, inshallah. Please, if you have the time and want to make comments about what's going on with your Ramadan, be it, a challenge that you're facing, or, a particular rahmah or mercy, that you're experiencing, you do share in the comment section. And also, eventually, I'm going to make this public in YouTube, so you can also share with others. And right now, the Lady Imam YouTube channel is still up, so please feel free to subscribe. And if you want to join the Patreon page, you have to follow that option through Patreon. Thank you, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.